Hello, greetings. Welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Shali Benessi. So in today's video, I wanted to share my personal truth and reconciliation story around relationships and a previous relationship that I had had and endured in my 20s, an on and off again relationship that I had that was within the last decade, and I just wanted to share and update and tell you my story based on the fact that I want to bring this decade to a close, personal closure, I guess you could say. I'm making this video in commemoration to, and as well as sharing my truth, which is what people need to do in order to heal and move on and move forward in their lives. And I'm also making this video to share with people who potentially think they know me, who actually don't know me at all, including the individual who I had this experience with on and off again. And why did I have this experience? Well, everybody has their own unique experiences and everybody has their own traumas. And that's not to say that nobody's trauma is invalid. Everybody's trauma is valid. But the point I'm trying to make in this video is to share my personal truth and reconciliation story in regards to my own experiences that I've had with relationships. And this one being the highlighter of everything previously that led up to present time in my life. Okay, so I just wanted to get right into it also because it's the second phase of the shadow season, which is Scorpio season. Not that I'm a Scorpio, but I'm a fellow water sign, so I have a soft spot for all my fellow water signs. And as this being in an occult-oriented channel, and me being an occultist and a lover of truth, I bring you my story of death and destruction pertaining to these times. So when I was about in my late teens, early 20s, I was really excited about my life and I was really, aspiring to follow my heart and my dreams. And sometimes, we're always learning lessons constantly throughout our lives. So, and this was like a major life lesson that unfortunately nobody taught me how to learn properly, or I didn't have people advising me or helping me that could clearly see into me enough to help guide me and teach me so I didn't have to learn so many hard lessons on my own. But that's not to say I didn't learn anything. I learned a lot from it. But I guess I'm making this video to commemorate the fact that I want to bring closure to the last decade, as well as inform and share people of my experience and why I had this experience and why these things happen to people and how they can be prevented and how we can, share and unshame people of these experiences as well. So yeah, I'm just gonna get into it then. I guess like when I was in my early 20s, I was excited, I was inspired, I was following my heart and my dreams, and I ended up, just going with the flow, living life, and somebody who's had adverse life experiences as a consistent theme in my life in my previous past. I drew an experience to me unconsciously that put me back into a position of reliving and re-experiencing trauma that I wasn't consciously aware of, that I am now consciously aware of. And it's like I spent like the last decade trying to analyze myself and understand why I put myself in this situation. And, coming to a close on all of this, I completely wholeheartedly understand why this happened and why I kept going back. And what is it they say, sometimes people go through things that people have experiences that forever like change them and and shape them into the individual they are today. This was just one of many experiences compiled into multiple experiences that I've had in my life that have made me an expert in this type of stuff, unfortunately. And so I guess I'm making this video to share my story so that it can help others, because I don't think this is something that should be happening to people. And I know I'm not alone on this, and I guess I wanted to make this video update to share based on the fact that if any of you have had something similar happen, please, share your truth. It's important, and this is a space for consideration. So yeah. And the really terrible thing about this relationship experience that I had had, it was like, it led up from my teenage years, which led up from my childhood and all the adversities that I had faced within my life. And it just played into the consistent theme that I've been trying to analyze and understand and break away from, because, life is made to be enjoyed, and we're supposed to, handle and experience things in a way where it doesn't break us down to the point where we don't want to be here anymore. And life is made to be enjoyed from time to time. We're supposed to be more consistently enjoying and experiencing things, and this was one of those experiences where it just ruminating, and so and I guess what made this relationship experience even worse was the fact that it brought up my original core wounds associated with my adverse life experiences. And it's strange as well, because it actually ties into my astrological components of why I'm even here on this planet in this time in this place. And this is a huge part of my story and my gifts associated with my story and why I'm here. Oh, the internet. I'll check that later. So yeah, basically what made that relationship 10 times worse was the fact that it was an individual who I'd met when I was a child. So going back to what I said, our core wounds get brought up again within experiences or relationships we have with people, depending on their role and their purpose in our lives. And then what makes it harder to deal with and cope with and understand is when we're trying to make people accountable, and when we're trying to be accountable ourselves for the reasons why we acted or behaved in the ways that we did. So this is me making a video based on that as well. And just because you can't see physical evidence of abuse doesn't mean somebody's not being abused. And as we all know, people with adversities and trauma, PTSD, sometimes put themselves in situations due to their trauma. And then, depending on who they're around, it can enhance those experiences and make them that much more harder to cope with or understand. So I put myself in a situation where I saw all these red flags, but I didn't think they were red flags because, I was so used to adverse life experiences that I thought, this is like the greatest thing ever, but it wasn't great. It was just an evolved form of abuse. So I wasn't being hit, but I did get hit, actually. That's the funny part. It's really basically, I don't follow the DSMs per se, but this individual brought up old wounds within me that forced me to relive, more in a mild sense, experiences that I had originally lived in my childhood. So this person did everything illegal around me you could possibly imagine, but I was just thought I was in love because I was young and naive at the time, and now this person, I bet, is terrified, deathly scared that I am coming out and talking about this. And when I'd listen to them talk about other women or women that they were previously with, these individuals complained as well. And it's funny because this person also, I was apparently in a relationship that I didn't even know I was in at the time, because the communication was so terrible. It was so awful that like, I didn't even have time to acknowledge where my place was in this person's life, because I never got the time to. Going a week or 2 weeks without talking to someone is, if you're dating someone and attempting to be with a person, that's not dating, that's one-sided love, and that's not healthy. So yeah, I basically was being abused, but was normalizing it due to the fact that I was already, had adverse life experience, so this couldn't possibly be that bad. But it did make me feel bad, because I dated people prior who, were also fairly unwell in their own ways, but it was never brought on to the same extreme level as this individual. And I don't know why that is, but it happens. Sometimes some people's demons just don't play well together, and they bring out all these things in us that we don't want to face, that need to come to the surface, that need healing. So, and I'm sharing this because I don't think these types of things should happen in such extreme ways. So yeah, basically, when I started sharing myself with this person, my body told me before my mind or my heart told me that this person was bad. And it's funny too, because when I first started hanging out with this individual as well, I noticed my adrenaline went up very high. And I was so used to living in such heightened states of, being most of my life, that I just thought it was, nothing. I didn't think anything of it, but it was actually my body trying to alert me of danger. And this is how trauma works, okay? So you're constantly on high alert, then because you've normalized it, you don't think there's anything wrong, because you can't, because somebody didn't guide you or teach you to look for signs and read things, read in between the lines. Even though I'd always had known how to do that, nobody was communicating to me as to the psychological factors as to why certain things to look for when you're entering new situations, because the family that was associated with me during the time in my 20s and so on and so forth was associated with this individual who just happened to be in the sidelines. And this is the type of things that sometimes unfortunately happen, and a lot of people don't want to believe these types of things happen, that just because you're friends or your family with somebody and they could never be a certain way, think again. These types of things are common, they happen all the time. And this person I had an experienced relationship with was fairly closely connected to a family that attempted to look after me and care for me, due to the fact that their own empathy brought them to an experience of wanting to help people with similar life experiences. And this person seemed to fall into that same field of work as well, and they were a teacher, and but I'm pretty sure their reasoning for getting into line of work with helping people was not in alignment with the reasons why the people that looked after me were, the alignment was missing. And that's very evident to me because this individual, I had heard before I'd spent time with them that they were investigated for predatory types of actions and interactions. And, after getting to know and spend time with this individual, I learned for myself firsthand, unfortunately, why this individual was fired from and blacklisted from being able to work with people. So, and these types of things happen all the time, and people, just because you can't see what's going on and you're not around for something doesn't mean something's not legitimately going on. And So I guess I'm making this video to share and inform people of, you know, these types of things are happening, and to, you know, consider the fact that when someone comes to you and shares the truth with you, they might be legitimately experiencing something and telling you factual truth. So don't just like discard or people, you know, because you could potentially be someone's helping hand for an experience they need to get away from. And unfortunately for myself, I had to learn the hard way. So yeah. And I basically, yeah, my body alerted me that this was an unsafe experience. My genital regions of my body had negative reactions to this person. And I ignored it because, you know, I wanted to be loved so badly that I just, you know, discarded what my body was telling me. And, you know, people have always told me since I was a kid that I was very spiritual, and so I was like reliving spiritual traumas as well. And yeah, my spirit was not happy because I saw all these signs, but because I was accepting and normalizing trauma, I discarded it myself because I thought it was in discordance with my truth, which it wasn't. It was aligned, and I didn't know how to stand up for myself because I'm so used to nobody else doing it, so why should I? And that's unfortunately how trauma works. And, you know, by the time you finally analyze it enough to understand why certain experiences happen to you the ways that they did, that's when you're ready to, unfortunately, tell people and make them aware of what you went through, what happened to you, what you experienced. And that's when, usually, sometimes, when people can eventually do something about it. And by then, sometimes it's too late. And then people, you know, they're like, well, why didn't you do anything, blah, 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 about it 10 years ago? Why didn't you? It's like, that's not how trauma works. Trauma doesn't say, you know, oh, I see this is wrong, I'm just gonna let it go, and, you know, so you can do something about it. That's not how trauma works. And anybody who's an experiencer of trauma, and, you know, who knows what that experience and feeling is, knows what I'm talking about. It doesn't decide to just let you go one day. Not at all. So I guess I'm making that a point and making this so people really understand what I'm trying to say. So yeah, like you know, when I was sharing myself with this person, I reached orgasmic states, and I was punished for it non-consensually. And I'd never had somebody do that to me before. And I've been with people who are fairly unwell in different ways, but this was like the epitome of, and I kept going back to this because I thought there was something wrong with me and I was doing something wrong. And, you know, the abuses, the mental, emotional, caused my spirit to. So yeah, I acted out in ways, I relived things, I got so upset to the point that, you know, I was blocking off my feelings because I was being manipulated. And when you're being manipulated, you don't notice the abuse is happening until after the fact, until the point and then, you know, and then people, oh, you're crazy, you're just crazy. It's like, no, I'm acting like this because of you, because you propelled this to come about, and that's abuse. So yeah. So I guess I just wanted to wrap this up, and I'll go into part 2 for next time. See you soon in the next video, you guys. So I'm going to just cut this short right now, and yeah, I'll get into a little more details based on my personal truth and reconciliation around my journey. And yeah, so feel free to like, comment, share, subscribe to my YouTube channel. Thank you for tuning in and bringing this to a close with our shadow season. Thank you for listening to my personal truth and reconciliation story. Thanks for tuning in. Bye, and see you in the next video.